This topic is going to focus on comparing numbers. We're going to compare fractions with like denominators. We're going to compare fractions with unlike denominators. We're going to compare decimals and also compare decimals and fractions together. Now let's look at comparing with like denominators. This is probably the easiest one because once the denominators are the same, you can easily just compare the numerators. So if you look at this example here, we have which is greater, 3 over 8 or 7 over 8. So the denominators are the same. So what you're going to do is just compare the numerators. 7 is greater than 3. So 7 over 8 is going to be greater than 3 over 8. That's how simple this one is. The second example, 9 over 37 or 17 over 37, we have a common denominator. So we're just going to compare the numerator. Because 17 is greater than 9, so 17 over 37 is going to be greater than 9 over 37. Now let's look at unlike denominators. The first thing we're going to do is get the LCD of the denominators. If you have any questions about that, there's a video that covers that in depth. We're going to get the LCD of the denominators, and then we're going to multiply the denominators by a constant or an integer to make sure both of them have the same denominators. Once we do that, we're going to multiply the numerator by the same number we multiplied the denominator, and then we're going to compare the fractions like we did earlier for fractions with the same denominator. So here, if we want to get the LCD here, 8 and 4, the LCD of that is going to be 8 because 8 is a multiple of 4. So LCD would just be 8. So now we have 3 over 8. Now the second one is 1 over 4. What do I need to multiply 4 by to get to 8? So 8 divided by 4 is 2. So I have 1 over 4 can be rewritten as 1 over 4. We multiply the denominator by 2 to get to 8, and so we're going to multiply the numerator also by 2. So this is going to give us 2 over 8. So we're now comparing 3 over 8 and 2 over 8. Now we're going to use the method we used earlier. Because 3 is greater than 2, 3 over 8 must be greater than 2 over 8, which then implies that 3 over 8 must be greater than 1 over 4. Now let's look at the next example. Which is greater, 3 over 4 or 5 over 6? Now we're going to look for the LCD of 4 and 6. Once you apply the methods to get LCD, you should get the LCD to be 12. So LCD is 12. So 3 over 4, let's look at that. What do I need to multiply 4 by to get to 12? So I multiply this by 3, multiply this by 3. This is going to give us 9 over 12. What about 5 over 6? We're going to multiply 6 by 2, so we have 5 over 6, multiplied by 2, multiplied by 2. Now we have 10 over 12. So we now have which is greater, 9 over 12 or 10 over 12. So what we know is 10 is greater than 9, so therefore 10 over 12 is greater than 9 over 12, which then lets us see that 5 over 6 is greater than 3 over 4. Now we're going to look at another example where we compare a group of fractions or a set of fractions. Now what we're going to do is we're going to determine the LCD of 3, 7, 9, 21. If you follow the method for the LCD, what you're going to end up with is 63 for the LCD. So LCD is 63. Now what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite all of these fractions with an LCD of 63. So 1 over 3, so I'm going to multiply 3 by 21 to get to 63. I'm going to multiply 7 by 9 to get to 63. I'm going to multiply 9 by 7 to get to 63. And I am also going to multiply 21 by 3 to get to 63. So now let's evaluate this. This is 21 over 63. This is 36 over 63. This is 35 over 63. And this is 24 over 63. So now that we have a common LCD, a common denominator, we can just compare the numerators like we would regular counting numbers. So we want to arrange from the smallest to the greatest. So the smallest numerator is 21. So we start with 21 over 63. The next is 24 over 63. And the next one is 35 over 63. And the greatest is 36 over 63. So now let's write the original fractions based on this. So 21 over 63 is 1/3. 24 over 63 is 8 over 21. 35 over 63 is 5 over 9. And 36 over 63 is 4 over 7. The next thing we're going to look at is comparing decimals. To compare decimals, we're going to compare the digits in the place value. So we're going to start from the left hand side, go all the way to the right hand side. So let's look at the digits in the place value. Which is greater, 3.56 or 4.65? So we start with the ones place. So 3. So 4 is greater than 3. So that just tells us that 4.65 will be greater than 3.56. Now let's look at the second example, 0.235 or 0.0347. So we look at the first place value here, 0, so they're a common term. Now we look at the next, so we have the decimal point here, so this is the 10th place. So this is 2 here, this is 0. So 2 is greater than 0, so 0.235 is going to be greater than 0.0347. Now we're going to arrange these decimals comparing from the smallest to the greatest. So we're going to start off with the first digit. We're going to start from left to right. So we have 0, 0, 0, 1. So 0 is greater than 1. So we know that the greatest digit is going to be the ones that have a 1. So now let's compare the ones that have a 1. We have a 8 and an 8. That's similar. We have a 5 here and we have a 5 here. They're equal. And then now we have a 2 here and we have a 9. 9 is greater than 2. So 1.859 is going to be the greatest, followed by 1.852. Now let's focus on the ones that have a 0. So we look at the 10th place, we still have a 0. We look at the 100th place, we still have a 5 on both sides or for both numbers. Now we look at the thousandth place, we have a 5 here, we have a 6 here. 6 is greater than 5, so we have 0.0569, and the smallest fraction is going to be 0.0558. So here I've kind of shown you the largest all the way to the smallest. So if we want to write it from the smallest to the greatest, we have 0.0558, 0.0569, 1.852, and 1.859. Next, we're going to compare decimals and fractions. With this, you just make a decision on what you want to do. Do you want to convert all of them to a decimal, or you want to convert all of them to a fraction? Either way should be fine. And once you're done with that, you would use the rules we have used earlier for comparing fractions with dislike or unlike denominators. So I'm going to convert 0.65 to a fraction. So this is going to give us 65 over 100, which is 13 over 20. So now I'm comparing 13 over 20 and 9 over 16. Just looking at this right here, our lowest common denominator or least common denominator is going to be 80. So 13, 20, I want to get to 80, so I multiply this by 4, I multiply this by 4. 9, 16, I want to get to 80, multiply this by 5, multiply this by 5. So I end up with 52 over 80, and we end up here with 45 over 80. So 52 over 80 is greater than 45 over 80 because 52 is greater than 45. So what we now know is that 0.65 is greater than 9 over 16. Now let's look at an example that combines all of them together. And we're going to, in this case, I'm actually going to convert everything to decimal. So I'm going to just show you how to do that quickly for some of these ones here. So let's look at 3 over 5. So we got a 3 here, we got a 5, 0.30 divided by 5 is 6, and then 2 over 7. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to make sure that I'm going to go to at least 3 decimal places, or the 3 places after the decimal point. So 2 over 7, this is 2, 7, 0.20. We have got 2 here, 14, 6, put a 0 here. We got 8, 56, we got 4, put another 0 here, we got 5, 35, so we got 5 here, put another 0, we got a 7. So that's what 2 over 7 is. And then let's take a look at 1 over 8, 1 over 8, 1, 8, 0 point. You put a 10 here. You got 1. This is going to give us 8, 20, 2, 16, 4. So now we're going to replace all of this with just decimals. So 2 over 7, I'm just going to use 0.287, or 286 rather, 286, 0.35, 0.125, 0.735, and 0.6. Now we want to find the greatest. All of them start with a 0, so we can ignore that. Now we look at the first digit after the decimal place. That's going to give us 7. So we start off with 0.735. The next one is 0.6 because that's the next digit that is that's the next greatest digit in the 10th place. The next one is 0.35. Then we have 0.286, and then we have 0.125. So now let's replace the ones that we converted to decimal to the original fraction. So we got 0.735, 3 over 5, 0.35, 2 over 7, and 1 over 8.